here. Oh my God. Oh, here we go. I got my stuff all messed up, y'all. I was doing some videos earlier today and I forgot to get everything plugged back in. And just right now, I just knocked my camera loose. She gonna come back on though. Boom. Hey, I just seen there was at least 14 people up in here. They was like, oh, we gone. We out. We out. You don't get no second tries. We don't care. We're not coming back. We're just gonna come here and then we're gonna just leave. Peace. How y'all doing this evening? How you doing this evening? How you doing this evening? I hope y'all doing good. I hope you guys are doing good. I know that we got some lovely people in the room. We're gonna get this rolling. Deidre, how we doing this evening, Miss D?
Hey, good evening, everybody. We got a full house already. We got Marie, our other Marie. Good to see you, Marie. Lynn, good to see you, dear. Creasy, doing well, hon. Doing well. It's good to have you. Oh, Marie got a snack. She ready for the show. Okay.
Oh, get your snack, get your popcorn.
I got my little ginger beer here.
Yes.
Seth, hey Seth, good to see you. Chris. Yay, it's good to see you. Yay.
Oh my God.
None other than Select. What's up, dog? What's up, Sid? So good to see you. Holly.
Hey.
Hola. Let's see. And of course, our Miss Marie. Good to see you, Miss Marie. We got a full house. The chat is popping.
Yes, and I know there's gonna be some people. I'm glad.
Yes. This is not an endorsement, but it is Fever Tree Blood Orange Ginger Beer. Not an advertisement though. Unless they want to sponsor.
That sounds tasty. What flavor is it?
Blood orange.
Oh, I didn't know they made that.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Pastor Seth said, "Hey, Coach Malachi."
Hey. Welcome. We thank you. We know we be seeing you around. We see you around.
Yes.
It's the reasons why.
Turn it up, Coach, so we can hear that a little better.
Journey start. Listen to this song. The miracles, they flow into your heart.
They say the world is wild and untamed mystery. But if you close your
This is Miss Gwen's song.
Darkness like whispers in the rain. Miracles will guide you through the joy and through the
Oh my gosh. This is from the record.
Hey, glad you asked, Marie. This is from Malachi's record, Beyond Belief.
They'll judge you, they'll doubt you, but don't lose your flame.
Miracles.
Just call them by name.
Miracles,
magic, they dance.
How I came up with this, I was listening to Pure Imagination, Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. And it just came. It was weird. It was different. Beyond Belief.
Yep, it's currently on Bandcamp, but it'll be available on all platforms on Malachi's birthday, August 31st.
Yes, and if you purchase it on Bandcamp, you're going to get some other bonuses that it's not gonna be on all the Spotify and all that. But you'll have the ability to still stream it on everything. Don't give up.
Yeah.
That's a great song. I love and of course I'll probably play it at the towards the end, which is the song I wrote that was dedicated to Bishop Carlton. That was Wayman, but it was the Carlton um Release the Blame. Oh God, we'll have to play that this evening. We'll play Release the Blame. This evening, this space that you're in, that we are in, we hear a lot about deconstructing. That's really one reason that it brought a lot of us together. Yes, sir, Malachi. The whole entire thing is very melodic. I got that from Wayman because those melodies is something that can really shift you. And it's easy to sing. So, but a lot of what brings us together is deconstructing our belief systems, asking the question, what do you believe? Why do you believe it? And how do those beliefs add to or subtract to your life? A lot of times we get to the point when it comes to this is where we hear the theology that's doesn't align with where we are. And we know that there's some fallacies within it. And so then we refute it. Great. And so where do we go after we get to that point? I dealt with this with Bishop Carlton Pearson. And when D.E. Paul comes in and he has a shift where he wants to talk about inclusion because he felt that's where a lot of people were left. They were left at this point where it's like, okay, I want to go back and let's pick up some of these people that were wanting to be included. And where we were headed to more towards was expanding our consciousness, expanding our awareness, and being able to grow. Being able to grow, being able to see who we are, being able to take our lives to the next level. So we can hear a lot of information about someone put content out. I've said it before. You've heard it on other podcasts, vlogs where we would talk about various people. Jackie Hill Perry was one that was talking about you deserve to die. Philip Anthony Mitchell, he was talking about what we need to do for Black people need to do with their kids and their boys, how to raise them. And there's a story about this lady, it's a pastor telling this story. And I don't know if it was telling it out of ego or telling it out of just pure understanding, but he told the story. And it was a lady that was dealing with a situation in the hospital. And the doctors came back to her, told her the situation, gave her options. And she said, okay. She called her pastor. Physicians, scientists, my pastor. Is the pastor going to encourage you? Is the pastor going to pray for you? Is the pastor going to do something that's so divine that you jump up out of there and leave? I doubt it. In order to get into that space of understanding and connecting to the divine self, the divine mind, and being able to transcend and understand where healing is and where healing comes from. I'm okay with saying it comes from God, but it still is going to work through you. And there's things that has to happen in you and things that you have to shift. Frequency. in order to vibrate and get your mind and your thoughts and who you are. I literally witnessed Bishop Carlton Pearson experience what he's experienced. And he fought, and let's say he told me he dealt with his cancer the first time. He talked to it. He questioned it. And never did say, I fought it. And 20 years later, as he's going through different things, and he really didn't put up a major fight. He realized and understood his mission on being here on the planet, what he came to do. He realized that he was done with a lot of things. He realized that he was satisfied with what he lived for. I've seen it and witnessed it and done things in those days, pushing him to still connect and still talk to people. And he did. But there was one particular talk he had that was really powerful. It was a talk that was really powerful about his own mortality, and he talked about our mortality. I thought it was powerful. This just came to me now. I was, every once in a while I have different videos that we would refer to. And, but this video right here was very powerful in that he knew what was going to happen. He was okay with it. Okay, I'm going through this process and I'm going through all these things, hopefully to see what is there. But I got a message back in April. He did. That they were like, well, there's something there. We see there's something there, but we know that he has been dealing with something, on and on and on. He was dealing with these infections. Just dealing with it and dealing with it and dealing with it. Besides that, there was a lot of other things he was dealing with within the church previous, right? And I'm here to tell you that you're deconstructing, you coming into your own self and realizing, awakening. Everybody that's listening has had an awakening. You've had an awakening. You have been enlightened. It may not be grandiose and everyone sees that, whoa, like you coming in here like a shaman, with your scarf and all that on. I do that. It's fun. It's a part of the, when you become a true seer, and it's really not a special gift that you have when you're a seer. It's just the fact that you have been able to adopt, and vibrate a frequency of understanding. We all have the ability to do this, but we're all can be clouded. We can be clouded and deal with life and what we've been told. But as Bishop would say, we'll watch a little of his video in a minute, but he would always say, and I've said this a million times, and I would suggest that you write it down in the chat somewhere. There's certain things that I say that I believe that it's important that you write it down. There's something to do with writing something as you process it from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind, so that you learn and you can connect to the words. And then something can be revealed to you through the synchronicities, through the connection that we have on one accord with each other. Makes me think of that terminology that they call the Holy Spirit. And really, it's just a really playful cosplay word that the church uses to me anymore, because I'm not sure the power that they really truly have, because they throw it around a lot. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But the thing is to ask yourself is, what do I believe? Okay. I believe this. I believe that. I believe this. I know this. I know that. What do you believe? Why do you believe it? And how do those beliefs add to or subtract to the quality of your life? What if most of what you believe about life, about God, and about yourself wasn't entirely true? That is where a lot of us were before we went on this journey. Well, like, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Especially as we become more educated, right? You go to school, go to college. It makes you wonder, like, about the people that are really deep entrenched in religion, yet though they are scientists, like physicians, doctors. And it's like, how is it that a doctor really can just go back to Mormonism or go back to, I can kind of see Catholicism because it's not so rigid. It can be rigid, but it's like, yeah, you go here, you say this, you do that. Okay, I'm going to be a good person. You get out of there. It's not a part of, so deeply a part of the culture within, especially in the Western European. So we acknowledge the culture moments. But today we know that more people are questioning old religious frameworks. They're questioning the institution. And we are questioning inherited ideas more than ever before. We have resources. We have YouTube. We have ChatGPT. We have the access of libraries, on top of libraries, on top of libraries. And it's hard for them, the system, to say we're going to get rid of this and get rid of that and get rid of this. It's hard for them to do that. And they're now wanting to do it in your face. The state superintendent for the Oklahoma is doing everything possible to not lick the boots of Donald Trump, but he's doing everything possible to lick the crack of that man's ass. We need to have Bibles in school. Trump don't care about the Bible. But he understands and knows that if I could get people to reference Christianity as a whole, as a one, and I put it out there, then now we have to have the questions of denominations, and we have to have the questions of theology. We need Bibles in every class, but the Bible we needs to have all of the books. What books? Well, the Old Testament. I mean, the King James Version. Why? Who is the person that is going to question, like, why would you want the King James? Why not this one? Why not that one? Like, you have all these questions. He's not a theologian. He doesn't care. All he cares about is appeasing the higher power in his life. But this book must contain the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and all that aligns to Trump's Bible. So he's bold-faced coming to the stage and just saying, you know what? I know that these particular people that voted for him, that like him, will actually think no matter what this way. There's not just a belief system, but there is a level of bias. There's a cognitive variation, right? Dissonance and cognitive bias and cognitive. I mean, like the list goes on under the mind, the psychological cognitive issues that we could be locked in, especially in the Mid-South and the Greater South, which contains a lot of people. A lot of the most Black people live in the South, although New York has the most that lives in one area, DC, but the most, like 50-something%, live in the South or in the Mid-South. So our understanding and our knowledge is what gets us in the way for actually making wise, smart, balanced choices. Although we have one government, the government of business with two facets, because the Democrats are sold up to AIPAC and all of its bullshit. That's why we have all this disruption. A big chunk of it is because there's a disruption. That's the reason why we are questioning the old frameworks of government, questioning the frameworks of capitalism, questioning the frameworks of religion. Where I'm going is we're getting into the deconstructing of our reality. What is reality? We're finding out that reality is not what we have always been told. And actually, there are things that are causing us to shift reality. And now we're getting into understanding the science that fits into the old spiritual sayings and thoughts before we have even thought about taking on this Middle Eastern religion of Christianity. It's Middle Eastern. It was not what the people would do. It just was adapted and adopted by a hierarchy. But we acknowledge the existence of what has happened within the religious frameworks and also within the culture. You often hear about the Black church. And we're in a space that we can be stuck. And the reason why we can be stuck is because we want to shift, but we want the culture. We want to keep the culture. And that is an American Black thing, not even an African thing. It's an American Black thing. So be it. We are powerful individuals. We are the most unique experience or experiments on the planet. There's no other place that has this experience and has this transition. Brazil and all the other places that Black people were dropped off, exchanged, moved around. They formulated their own thing. This is a whole nother talk. Jamaicans didn't become African Jamaicans. They came Jamaicans. Brazilians didn't become, African Brazilians. They became Brazilian. The only place that you have someone that still claims their African heritage or wants to put that in front of the title is in America. In a way, that's to the benefit of the people that are here that want to call themselves American. We're more American than America itself. This is what we do. Everything else is lost. Most of it was built by Black people. Deconstructing your reality. You got to understand this. This is a bar. Deconstructing is not a destination. Deconstructing is not a destination. Deconstructing is more like a doorway. It's cracking open. And what's behind that door? Door number 1. And when you begin to deconstruct your belief system, it's going to open that door and you're going to be like, yep, Philip Anthony Mitchell, you off. Jackie Hill Perry, you off. Jimmy Swaggart son, you off. You know what I mean? Anybody that has this ongoing evangelical political, most of it is political message from the past. Once you crack that door open, boom, you see it. But I'm here to tell you, there's 10, 20 more doors that you need to bust open. Deconstructing is not a destination. It's the doorway. It's the gateway. We are now able to understand, if you look up the history. I just had this epiphany the other day. If you look up the history of when we started psychology, 1879 in Germany, they had a laboratory. The history of psychology. Just follow me. The history of the plane. This is all industrial evolution. We're in the industrial evolution of where technology is taking us, but the technology is one thing that's shifting consciousness. These other things shifted the awareness of what we are able to do on the planet with the items, with the things, right? I got, alchemy is turning lead to gold, right? So I used the word the other day. We are, when I look at the way we have done the earth, it's like we are pillaging. We're extracting resources from the earth, but we're doing it we can do it in a very volatile manner, right? War or the defense, or that's a whole nother topic too. That's one of the biggest things that keeps a capitalistic system going. Is having war. But the flight, we just took flight. The Wright brothers done that in 1903. And in today's time, when we sit back and think about flying, we act like we've been flying for the last 1,000 years, and we just started flying. But yet, if you want to compare it to Jesus, if you want to compare it to religion, if we want to compare all this stuff we talk about with belief and God, make it make sense. We want to talk about God, and we want to talk about who God is and what God wants, and all these theological things. And if you look at the totality of all that, just when you date it back 3,000 years, we just started flying. We just, in the generations, we pretty much just became free as Black people. I said it once before and I'll say it again. I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You can't tell me what happened 100 years ago. What happened? What happened to all the resources? We can speculate, but y'all burned up a bunch of papers and y'all hit a bunch of stuff, and they talk about some of the bodies went on a train, and like, you burnt down everything 100 years ago. You can't tell me what happened 100 years ago. How are you going to come to me with some context of what Jesus said and what Jesus meant about? Come on. You and I know well enough that most of that is bullshit. All that stuff we read in the Bible is stuff that they have concocted. I'm so sorry if you don't understand that. There's 66 books in this thing. There's 71 or something books in Catholic Bible, 81, 88, something like that in the Ethiopian Bible. The Maccabees or whatever it is, the scenes. I mean, we can go on and on and on about the theology. We can go on and on and on about philosophy of these things. I want to know about the metaphysical alchemy of how I can switch and change things today. What else good is it? If I can't shift the plane, the car, automobile history, 1885. We don't have a modern car. That was the first. We don't have what we consider a modern car. There's something that's functional and working and that you can actually use that really competes against the horse. That, I mean, what would you say, 1940? And it still was kind of slow. You still got to build roads. We didn't even really have roads 100 years ago. The highway systems. Y'all, all this stuff is new. It's new. But the brain and the mind is stuck in the past. Don't do it. Understand that your deconstructing has to do with the evolution of who we are. And if you don't get unstuck in that, you're going to die in that. And some sooner than they would have to, because you have some things that you switch and change and you begin to understand. I don't know if I can find it, but I got a picture on my phone of a 22-year-old man. A 22-year-old man. And he's reading his Bible to his wife. Right? Let's look at this. I'm this is the reason I'm telling you, understanding this within the deconstructing journey will bring clarity to your life. I promise you. And then your deconstructing journey is going to take a whole nother life of its own. Charlie Johns, a 22-year-old, reading the Bible to his 9-year-old bride. The marriage occurred in 1937 in Tennessee, where there was no minimum age for marriage at that time. In 1937, the couple was married by a Baptist preacher after John offered him $1. What do you say? What do you say? That was just in 1931. Some of our grandparents was around then. Some of our grandparents. 1931. A 22-year-old. The fuck. A 9-year-old hasn't even developed breasts. That philosophy that we don't bring up or say anything about is what we're dealing with, y'all. That's your deconstructing. All in the heart, all in the life, all in the presence of, right? He just so happened to be reading his Bible whenever he's talking about his 9-year-old bride. That's the consciousness that you are fighting, that you're bucking up against. That's the consciousness that you're still dealing with, although everyone has, because you got to think within that same context, within that same era, within that same time, what else was going on? What else was going on? Because when you really look at it, Martin Luther King Jr., 1929. So he was born in 1929. So Martin Luther King was a couple of years old. So you got to think there's still people that are out there killing and doing stuff to other people that they feel were inferior. Just for the heck, the part of it is for the heck of it. A big chunk of it had to do with what they inherited from the economical epidemic that they experience. Black people are more hated, that I have learned through astral projecting. Not for everybody. I learned a lot through doing this, but Black people are more hated because of the economical system that allowed the United States, as it became one, to shut down a lot of these people's businesses. Immigration, farms. What am I going to do about my farm? Subsidize it. When we had Black people working for free, it did become a problem. It's another story that you won't hear. Slavery became a problem because slavery did not work for the industrial evolutionary economical engine. So this thing that we developed called economics, which is the heart of and the bullshit of capitalism, which we are a part of and in. Thank you to my private community. But this economic thing, after so long, we start learning that it costs too much to have a slave because you have to medicate them. You have to have clothing for them. You have to feed them. You got to breed them. I was part of that. My history and my family was part of that breeding side. I'm 6'4", 6'5", 230, you know what I mean? And then my kids are big, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you know what I mean? They was lining us up. And that wasn't a cool thing to be a breeder, because you might have bred your sister and you had to breed your mama. And you know what I mean? You had to do whatever master said. And you want to know why we can have so many issues in the Black community? What you expect? It just happened. In the totality of all this, deconstructing your reality is very important. And that's where after you deconstruct your belief system and you ask those questions and you go through all that stuff with church, it's okay. I'm going to interview more people and bring more people in to give more perspective of what it's like. And because that's where we still are in a mass kind of way. But as we come here and I get my opportunity, and as we go in our private stuff, listen, we talking about manifesting, we're talking about we talking about self-mastery, we're talking about alchemy, we're talking about AI, we're talking about breaking free. Because if you don't get through all that in your mind stuff, what's taking place and happening in this culture right now is a technocracy. And guess what? I'm here to tell you, there is no turning back. It's done. We're going to fight, and you're going to see people fight. But to see what they have to do to fight, they're going to have to break a lot of ethics. They're going to have to break a lot of codes. And some of them people going to have to be willing to be like, what? Hot Wheels, you want to put me in jail because I'm not going to allow you to gerrymander and put my vote in to force us to have to vote for somebody we don't want? It's blatant in your face on how we have to cheat to win because we can't win. There are some things that can change it. But I'm out here to tell you, Elon Musk has already infiltrated with Palantir and put his AI systems within all government systems. OpenAI, ChatGPT has got 4 military, look it up, 4 military high-ranking officials that didn't go through boot camp, didn't go through all that, so they don't have all that mind shit to be for country. All they are is for the system. So Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, right? It's about to flip. Peter Thiel. I mean, all this stuff, I promise you, it's already done. Project 2025 is a joke. Why would I'm going to just show you what I'm going to do? Yeah, I'm going to show you that, but I'm not going to show you the other stuff. I'm not showing you what I'm doing in the back door. I'm going to take you somewhere real quick. Let's see. It's 9:18. And I'm telling you, this is going to be worth it because I'm intertwining a lot of different things within this. Okay. But I want you to understand something. My background in my life has been totally 100% from the time that I started living. I was taking apart TVs. I used to play with mercury. That's why I need to shift and change things in my life. You know, mercury inside a thermostat. I used to take apart everything. I took apart a thermostat. How did that thermostat work? Right? You have that, there's a bubble in there, and that lead, when it makes, that lead is still liquid, but it still can make a contact, right? To turn your thermostat on. Coil. I used to, man, I tell you, I was involved. But I'm going to tell you why belief systems matter. I'm going to tell you why belief systems matter. And how belief systems work. This will be real quick. These belief systems, how they work. And I will show you what Bishop Carlton Pearson said and how he prepared himself for what was to take place. When we created the computer, we just created a part of us outside of us. So our brain is not like a computer. A computer is like ours, is like the human. That's from jump. So the belief system is like an operating system. Bill Gates was responsible for creating Windows. And it just so happened that Bill Gates had a lot of time that was stacked up on programming because his mother worked at the university in Kentucky. So he spent a lot of time playing around with a mainframe computer that had big disk, and you used to have to pay for it at the university. But he got to play on it all the time because his mother worked there. So as he was messing around with languages, he ended up creating DOS. And as he was doing these things with DOS and so on and so forth, that ended up being something that was a frame, that was kind of the software framework that he sold to IBM. They became married. That's how you get the Windows computer. That was an operating system. There's another guy I follow that created the microprocessor who was trying to create AI, and now he's a spiritualist. I may try to find something to show you that. But belief systems is like an operating system. So Windows 11, Windows 10, iOS, blah, blah, blah. You got a cell phone and it's got a certain level of operating system, right? You have iPhone 18 or whatever, and they get different features. There's a thing called firmware you have to update for security patches. So I want you to get this and understand that how you work with a computer is also how you work with a human, because a human created a computer off of the human. So when you have an old operating belief system, you have to rewrite that, reprogram. The subconscious mind is the backgrounds. The subconscious mind decides what's possible with or without you, without asking your permission. This is getting a little bit into quantum spirituality principles and things of that nature. I won't go there, but belief is what I've accepted as reality based on my experience, conditions, and my influence. Belief is what I've accepted as reality based on my experiences, conditioning, and my influences. Truth remains true whether I believe it or not. What do you believe? Why do you believe it? And how do those beliefs add to or subtract to the quality of your life? Let's venture off and let's listen. We talked for about 20 minutes and we might skip around. But there was some really key and important things that Bishop said in this talk to me. This was one of the most important last conversations that he actually talked about. I think this was literally one of the last conversations, and it was very important to me because what he was saying and how it plays a role in how it plays a role in what we are dealing with, facing, or experiencing today. I'm going to start at a random spot here. Let me see.
My bladder, just in the edges of my bladder. And I'm submitting to both chemo and to mortal. He's mortal. My spirit
here we go.
Is the 6th chapter of Genesis. Many of you heard me say it before. It's the words of God recorded. The God of the Bible says, my spirit will not always strive with man.
Real quick, I wanted, did you hear, did you get that clarity? Did you get that clarity? He's separated between God and God of the Bible.
One of my least favorite scriptures, in fact, my least favorite scripture in the Bible is the 6th chapter of Genesis. Many of you heard me say it before. It's the words of God recorded. The God of the Bible says, my spirit will not always strive with man or with humans, with Adam. The King James says flesh. It translates mortal. He's mortal. My spirit will not, my essence will not always strive. The word means to umpire or to wrestle or to navigate or to negotiate or to call the shots or call the games or, be the captain. that's a little bit discouraging to me because, I mean, it's God talking, the God of the Bible that we've worshiped all these years. I don't believe in that exact God the way I once did, but I still remember that God and have preached in his name and cast out devils in his name and traveled the planet in his name, stood before crowds as large as 250,000 or twice that many in stadiums and things, written 36 books, been on hundreds and hundreds of television shows. And now I'm 70 years old. I'm looking back on all of that, and I'm looking at my mortality at a level that I didn't 20 years ago. I'm a little bit uncomfortable here in the bed, so if I move, that's why. I was going to go into the library, but I didn't. I don't have the strength to do that tonight, so I'm not going to talk to you long. But I want to tell you that I want to ask you to reconsider your mortality, your the part of you that dies. Now, there's a part of you that doesn't die, can't die, won't die. It's your eternal, immortal self. We get the word mortality from the word, we get the word mortuary from the word mortality, because normally when people, years ago, when people bought or built a home, it took a lifetime. At least 30 years for them to pay it off. It will be a lifetime debt, so they call it mortgage. We get the word mortuary, mortality, those kinds of words. It all has to do with death or mortality. You're not going to live in that house always, and it's going to take you a certain amount of time to pay for it. So that's all of us. I'm not afraid of death. I'm not even afraid of dying. If I was going to be afraid of anything, it might be living, because living is much more of a task, much more of a toil, much more of a chore. We all play roles, whether that's husband, wife, son, daughter, sibling, preacher, pastor, doctor, attorney, school teacher, janitor, gardener. We all play these roles, but the one role that doesn't necessarily have a title with any specific description is just being human, on your way to where humans ultimately go, which we believe is another iteration, another level, another dimension, another place, another space, another level of reality. That's where we're all headed. And I'm encouraging you to reconsider managing your mortality. Reconsider having the guts and the courage to be you, to accept you as you are, and to find out what that means, to study it. I haven't had to do it before. I'm having to do it now. I believe that all of us dissolve and resolve into different levels. When the scripture says, in beginning, God's created the heavens. Heavens means the higher reaches, rhythms, regions of consciousness. Heavens, a multiplicity of them. One earth, but a lot of spaces above this one. And I think we just keep on moving up, on, extending, expanding, going to the next level in consciousness. That's very important. I felt my consciousness expanding. I've talked to my children very frankly about the possibility that this could be my end. We got sick. I got sick about 2.5 months ago, and it happened overnight. And we didn't know what was going on. My son Julian spent most of the time from Texas, even though he lives and works there. He came up here to make sure everything was okay. Spent many nights in the hospital. Majesty spent nights in the hospital. Even Gina came to see me quite often. Others came in, not many, because they couldn't receive a lot of guests. But there's a sense that this could be it. And I'm okay with that. And I want you to be okay. I'm not finished talking, but here's why I'm okay with it. The scripture says, except a kernel of wheat fall to the ground and die, it remains only a single seed. But if it falls and dies, it multiplies and becomes many seeds. I preached a sermon called Drop Dead from that passage probably 40 years ago. Michael Williams wrote a book titled that, and I wrote the foreword for it. I think my message may take hold differently when I'm gone than it has since I've been alive. It's been quite frustrating for me, to tell you the truth. I've been a man without a country for 20 years, and but I have found young men and women who I say the heavens have sent to me, or God sent to me, to who understand this message and get it maybe even better than I do, and are writing and talking with such boldness. There's a lot of young people in the generation of my children's age who are freer than I ever knew to be. Didn't know was possible. They dance and laugh, and some of them might have a glass of wine. Some of them smoke a joint, or what's the other thing they do? They're more accepting. They're less judgmental of themselves and of others. And they go to church. They love the Lord if they want to go to church. Praise God, lift up their hands. Many of them sing in the praise groups, and they pack these places out, and they're free. I'm watching that with great curiosity and great interest, admiration, actually. Very encouraging to me. It's like, wow. And there's so many of you. These people are coming from, I hear from people all across the planet, of all different, from places like Pakistan, India, and China. China. I have people watching me live tonight from China. Not every week. I don't know if they are right now because I can't see, but very often they do that, and they're very interested. And some of them grew up around Christianity and other religions. But I want to remind you again: get a hold of your mortality, your alwaysness. Your mortality suggests to you that the end is not exact. That your alwaysness, your immediacy will always be. That you will always know yourself, experience yourself, and express yourself at some level that's identifiable, unapologetically. That's where the world is going. We're looking at all the things that I called my ministry Higher Dimensions back in 1977, not knowing exactly what that meant. But with the way the world is changing, with the way our country is changing, with the wild arrogance in some people's spirit, the meanness, the craziness, nothing makes sense, nothing seems trustworthy. You're going to have to learn to not trust the normal trustworthies and trust your own mortality at a different level. Study, investigate, interrogate, excavate yourself. Spend time finding out not only who you are, but who you aren't, so you don't try to mimic something or someone you're not. Learn how beautiful and powerful and special you are, because you are indeed all of that and more. And I want to remind you of that. I salute you. I celebrate you. I don't fear God. And if I was going to fear anybody, I'd fear some of his so-called people, because they can be some mean sons of biscuit eaters, as my brother used to say. But I'm even finding that there's a shift among the people of my age category who serve God the same way, out of the same fear, the same motivations that I have, and are now reconsidering, does it take all that? Is this all that necessary? Do we need all that? Do we need to think that way? What about rethinking, which is repenting, reconsidering what you believe, why you believe it, and how those beliefs add to or subtract from the quality of your life? So I'm going to go, but I just wanted you to hear my voice, see me, know that I am dealing with this. It's cancer, and they may remove the bladder, and they may remove the prostate. So far, the chemo has had very little effect. I'll have another treatment on Thursday.
Of course, he goes deeper into his prognosis. Wow, what did I do there? I didn't know it's like, I'm sorry, I'm a camera person. It's all yellow. It's not supposed to be that yellow. Sorry, you don't know what I'm even talking about. Anyways, that was a really interesting, very interesting talk there's more that he has. If you ever want to really dig into some of Bishop Carlton Pearson, go back to 2010 or 11 when he first started Stream of Consciousness, and you'll find some wonderful, beautiful things. There was another video that I thought that would be important also for this evening, that I come across, and this is a guy that he's super brilliant, Dr. Brandon Castrop, Bernardo. And this little piece right here, and he's talking about, of course, Jung's philosophy, free will, synchronicities, religion, pathways to transcendence. This is a wonderful, wonderful chat here. But there was this one part where he opened up about Christianity, even though he's like a scientist, a really deep scientist. And it was really powerful. And this kind of coincides with the reason why I'm talking about what I'm talking about today. And this is him being asked a question about the impact of Christianity.
Okay. I can tell this topic is very fresh in your mind at the moment. I think you could go on there for quite a while. Another question I wanted to ask you was, to what influence has Christianity had on the Western mind, do you think?
Oh, massive. That's historically undeniable. Christianity, Christianity is a Middle Eastern religion. It's not really originally a Western religion. Western religions are more natural religions, more sort of cosmopsychist, the world is alive type of thing, very, very symbolic in nature. But Christianity, despite that, it spread in the West like wildfire. Something in the archetypal foundations of Christianity resonated enormously with the Western mind. And that's why it spread so fast and became so strong. It rose to the level of unquestionable fundamentalism in the West very, very quickly. So it has had a tremendous influence in the West for 2,000 years. I think it is naive of us to deny that or to think that we are immune to that. And none of us who were raised in the West is immune to the influences of Christianity, because we get our maps of symbolic meaning very early in life, before the critical intellect plays the role of bouncer, and rejecting certain things and accepting others. Before we have the bouncer on the door, what we sort of breathe and eat and drink in our cultural milieu is saturated with Christian influence, particularly when it comes to thoughts about what is transcendent, thoughts about what is the telos, what's the meaning, thoughts about what is the origin of it all and why it's happening. These thoughts that we absorb through the culture are saturated with Christian influence. And therefore, we were all laid bare to those influences very early in life. Even if we don't know that at a metacognitive level, it's right there. It's part of us. I'm very much in peace with it today, to the point that I could even say I'm a Christian. I'm okay with being labeled that way. Of course, by the same token, I would also be okay if somebody would tell me you are Hindu, and a number of other things. But the Christian influence has come earlier. The other influences came later in life, because of the way I was thinking. I started appreciating Islam. I started appreciating Hinduism, Buddhism. So there are other influences, but the earliest, and therefore the influence that's most fundamental in my psyche, I think it's Christianity, and that's independent of whether I rationally think it's a good mythology or not. Even if I think it's not, I that's not what I think. I think it is an amazing mythology, so rich in symbolism. It's almost unbelievable how nuanced and subtle the Christian mythology is, particularly when it comes to the idea of the kenosis, of God shedding his own divine nature in order to be a human, and the idea of the Trinity, how three can be one without ceasing to be three. These are profound mythologies. Um, but even if I didn't think that, I would still have been largely influenced by the mythology of Christianity, because when I was young, the entire world around me was suffused with it in invisible ways.
It's really interesting. So it's almost like as we get older, we develop this kind of like intellectual bouncer that sort of keeps in some idea or lets in some ideas and keeps most others out. But in our earliest years, that bouncer isn't developed at all. So we just become saturated with the cultural myths that we're surrounded by. So if we grew up in a Christian culture, then we just that becomes almost part of our psyche. So when we're talking about pathways to transcendence, pathways to meaning, it would make sense that whatever cultural milieu that you grew up in, that would be the most direct pathway. So if someone was born in India and was grown up in a Hindu culture, they're probably going to find a lot more meaning in Hinduism than they would if they seeked it elsewhere. And it seemed for Christians seeking it elsewhere too. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you're completely right.
I got a
Our
point on that.
experience of meaning and relatedness to transcendent is an inborn experience. Uh, um, we have all had that when we were young because we were still very close to our own origins. We hadn't yet replaced our direct experience of reality with narratives, with concepts, with ideas and stories and theories, which is what happens very quickly after you reach 7 years old. Very quickly after that, your experience of reality becomes entirely mediated by conceptual armor. We no longer have a direct access to the meaning and the feeling of transcendence that we had when we were still very close to the moment of our birth. And therefore, the way to evoke that primordial experience back is through the symbols that we used to associate with that experience of meaning and transcendence when we were a kid. And what were those symbols? Well, those were the symbols that the culture has given us. So if you're a Christian,
Black church.
you will associate your inborn, your original, primordial experience of meaning and transcendence with the symbols of Christianity, because that's what the culture around you was telling you. That primordial feeling, oh, that's the saints, or that's Jesus, or that's the church, or the
That's high
Bible, and the
praise.
symbolism of
That's
Christianity.
shouting. That's dancing.
So as a kid, we associate those early symbols with experiences we have unmediated, direct access to, because we were still close to the moment of origin and
Oh,
we still hadn't laid this wall of conceptual intermediation between us and reality. So when you are an adult, the way to sort of try to go back to that primordial experience is through those symbols, those maps of meaning that we were given when we were kids. And there's nothing we can do about it. That's how our psyche was wired during our growth. Um, we cannot replace if you grow up with the influence of Christian symbolism, you cannot replace that with Buddhist symbolism. I mean, you can become a Buddhist as an adult because you rationally, you think things through and you realize that, okay, that resonates more with where I am intellectually today.
today.
Or I have tried Christianity and it didn't do it for me, so let me try something else. This is all possible, but I think it's naive to think that the symbols of another religion can have the evocative power of meaning and transcendence that the symbols we had when we were kids have when we are adults. Um, we may think that they don't have that power anymore after we grow up because of the narratives that we adopt. So, as a grown up, suppose you had Christian influence when you were a child, and then you grow up and you study history and you realize that the church as an institution is behind the greatest crimes in the history of humanity. And you realize that many members of the clergy either are not sincere or sometimes are even criminals, abusers, and you become angry with the institution and you start telling yourself that Christianity is a hoax, that you surpassed it, that you see better things in life now, and you become an enemy of Christianity. And then because of that egoic conscious attitude, the power of the Christian symbols to evoke transcendence, to evoke meaning by connecting you to where you were when you were a kid, close to origins, that power seems to diminish because the ego is at war with it. Um, but if somebody could honestly come to a place where the person says, I will differentiate the institution, the church, the institutionalized version of the religion, I will set that aside and I will stick to my own personal relationship with that religion, with the symbology of that religion. In other words, it does not matter if half the clergy are child abusers, because that's the clergy, not your direct relationship with religion, not the meaning the religious symbols evoke in you. The latter is a very personal thing. It's your relationship with a religion. It does not depend on intermediaries, on institutions, on the history of those institutions, on the officials of those institutions. It's your private, personal thing. If people can make that discernment and therefore not judge harshly their own private relationship with religion as they judge the institution and the acts of that institution, if they can get to that point, I think they will quickly realize in that attitude of tolerance that the symbols of the religion they grew up in are much more evocative of meaning and transcendence than anything they adopted as adults.
That goes coincide with understanding why we deconstruct, but what are we deconstructing for and what are we deconstructing to? And the last few things I'll say, but also, of course, I have to have Deidre come back. But a lot of times what happens is we dismantle the old religious or cultural beliefs, but it can also leave an empty space, a bitterness. And you can be in between where it could be kind of a space where you're not rebuilding or doing anything. But I'm here to say, if you delete that operating system, if you kind of try to move that out the way and you don't necessarily understand that there's a symbolism, there's things connected to who you are, to that experience. One, you can unconsciously build other dogmas. You can build it around conspiracy theories. You can build it around spirituality. You can build it around deconstructing. Looking to constantly refute somebody that's talking about something on the internet, which I understand we need people to refute it, but also you need to understand that moving from believing to knowing becomes the direct experience and not secondhand information. Knowing is based on your awareness, based on science, testing. No, I tried that, it didn't work. No, I tried that, it didn't work. Understanding how to embody, how to become. We don't just sit around and talk about it. We also be about it. When we be put into situations in life and we have to go through some level of processing, some experience where we have to make a decision, now we have to be about it. We have to integrate all of these frameworks of all this consciousness stuff. In a lot of spaces, I've noticed, even with Bishop, there's a lot that he enjoyed about his childhood and his what he knew, and that's church, going to a church, being around a church. And there's a lot of times he didn't want to go to the church. He would love to had done some of this and go to spiritual retreats and not necessarily be Bishop Carlton Pearson, but being Bishop Carlton Pearson, I knew paid the bills. But once we begin to update and understand that we are updating who we are, and we questioning and we contemplating, all of a sudden now we're tying now all of a sudden you're beginning to move into what we call this Christ consciousness. This not about the religious identity, but Christ consciousness is about embodying the divine, the nature of who possible Yeshua was, in that he said, love thy neighbor as thyself, do unto others that do undone unto you. It coincides with the Buddha consciousness, the Krishna consciousness. Being able to use one of my words, spiritual autonomy. That's the ability for us to source truth from within, remaining open to expand. How do you implement this into your life? How do you transcend? How do you feel about your experience and your expression? Deidre?
I do it by questioning everything. I question everything. And I didn't always do that. Like, for real. I just did not always do that. Those that know that I was ordained as a Christian minister, licensed at 20, ordained at 24. And, I knew the Bible was true and Jesus was the way. And that was it. Right? But then I serve in leadership. I'm seeing things that I'm like, this ain't making sense. How these people gonna act like this? I thought we supposed to be trying to be like Jesus, and it wasn't adding up. And I would keep wrestling with, but what happens to little children that are in fact, ravaged by famine? And what about Gandhi? And what about, people that are Buddhists? Why would God create have billions of people on the earth, and this small fraction of people be the only ones going to heaven? It wasn't making sense. So I started asking questions, lots of questions. And when I would ask questions and wouldn't get answers, I'd still keep asking questions until I got answers. And if they couldn't answer, I'd move on. And I moved on, and I kept moving on and kept moving on until I realized, you know what? You keep going to these churches and asking questions, they're not going to tell you the answers because they want you to stay there. Okay? So then I had to say, well, hell, I'm not stupid. I took European history. I took all that stuff. Let me go back and read this thing again. And as I started to see how diabolical the plan was to manipulate the scriptures, the ancient text, so that it would cause people to be subjugated and treated as less than human, when I got to that crux, then it was like the veil got lifted for real. And then I really had to dig in and say, okay, what are we really dealing with here? Because I see the humanity in everyone. What's the real end goal here? That's where I
What do you say about your journey now? As you went through that, what do you say about your journey now through the various experiences and
transcendence?
It's what would I say? transformation, right?
Mhm.
And I think there's some transcendence that happen, but these various transformations where it's like, okay, whoa, you know, because we constantly experience these. Sometimes we think we'll arrive to one, and then all of a sudden, boom,
Whoop, we're just there. Right.
something else just happened. You make a decision, and now I'm here. Now I'm here, right?
Right.
And so, but like for you, because when you have really taken on the eldership or whatever they would call that, also within African spirituality, you're taking a larger role on. There's something that you have identified in African spirituality that you like, that speaks to you.
Mhm.
And so, if you look at, like, there's something that is like, okay, I did the church and now I'm doing this,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's a level of transcendence.
Mhm. I think what I have discovered in this 20-year journey of deconstructing, because that's literally 20 plus, almost 25 now. Deconstruction is constant because constructs are constantly being redefined. Constructs are constantly being redefined. So if you think when you spoke to deconstructing being a destination, I'm like, it can't be a destination because constructs are constantly being redefined. And so for me, when I was super duper saved, super duper Christian, like that was it the only way. But that as I lived life, stepped out of the church and saw how much ministry there was outside of church, how much need there is outside of church, and they don't want to hear what the Bible says. They may just need to be fed. They just may need to be housed. They just may need to be validated. They just may need to be reassured. They just need to be acknowledged. It caused me to question just what exactly are we doing here? And so for me on my journey in the ATRs, I am initiated into one practice. I don't talk about it very publicly, but I am initiated into one practice where I am an elder. In that practice, what I am seeing is what we are missing in the Christian church when it comes to what a lot of charismatic churches would call deliverance. They think that deliverance is casting the devil out, when the reality is it's a full circle process of finding the humanity in somebody and restoring that person. That's deliverance.
How would you say that? Because he mentioned that, Castro mentioned that, how the Christian, like, because one of the things is like, we live in, no matter how we slice it, now how we dice it, we live in a Western Christian influenced atmosphere, even
Absolutely.
outside of the church, even outside of us experiencing
Absolutely.
the church, like just our government
Absolutely.
alone.
Right. Patriarchal thing, patriarchy, capitalism, racism, chattel slavery, all of those things are systems. And you can't, and the Western Christianity was the engine that delivered all those systems to this here land.
Now we're he was talking about, now we're adapting or adopting, where we would say, like, yours is African spirituality. Mine's has been kind of this consciousness science journey. And I know some people in our community, Miss Dolores actually is a Buddhist.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Like, I think the beauty of it all comes down to actually us being able to just make that choice.
That's it. And that's what Westernized Christianity doesn't want people to do. It does not want people to be able to be autonomous and make their choice.
So if you watch it tonight,
Hey, how y'all doing?
Celebrate, because you made a choice.
You made a
and you're
choice.
making choices
And
to
you,
do you, to be you.
period.
Even if we are dancing in the Christian space, right? In terms of like whatever that looks like. It's hard for me to dance in that charismatic Pentecostal kind of space. When I say dance, I'm talking about embrace some of the tonality. Like, I do love the music. I do love certain aspects. Of course, there's certain dogma that I just can't stand. But I do realize and I do understand one of the things, especially for all of the people that are on this stream that are considered minority or black, especially black church, there's so much tied to our culture to that. And I'm just talking about everything from dressing up and putting clothes on, putting, and how does it relate to the community and the music and the way people preach. And there is so much of that tied to our community that when we break away from that, we feel like we're breaking away from that community, which we are.
That's right.
And that's the hard part. So that's the reason why you have other institutions, other spaces, right? Like TFAM, Bishop Flunder, who has pretty much exactly every single thing that the church would have, besides the fact that you get to be openly accepted, LGBTQIA plus, and those people do their church thing better than the church people can do their church thing, right? They do their church thing, and they, I think, enjoy that connection that they have, and there's a level of transcendence that they feel within doing that. And I think there's a fulfillment within the human psyche that you get whenever you actually say, I do this thing, whenever it comes to my, let's say, spirituality. Like, because I don't use consciousness, it really be more metaphysical for me, metaphysics, and how I'm shape shifting things around me, my life, helping others. How do I dig deeper into the seership, right, of who I am? But I think it's still yet 100% totally beautiful for all of us to be able to have this container right here, Deidre. I think that there's certain levels of interest that I think that is cool for people to have with you at African and Spirituality, but I don't necessarily think that everyone should.
That's right.
Jump into that like you're jumping into another church.
It will not work, because it doesn't work that way. True. The branches of the African traditional religions are deeply tied to ancestral ties. It has nothing to do with you choosing it. It's about them choosing you. And so it is not meant for everybody to walk the path that I'm walking, but I am fully okay with you walking the path that gets you to be your best self. I know what path works for me.
Absolutely.
And I'm okay with that.
And the cool thing is the fact that goes back to the diversity of the human experience, right? We all get to experience this life together, and we can actually have a better experience at this life the more that each individual is following the medical principles of do no harm, right? No 9-year-olds marrying 22-year-olds. Doing no harm to other people. And what does that look like? What does that mean? And I think so many people, especially within the Christian, you get into the deep, let's say, charismatic, Pentecostal, evangelical, like anything that's very dogmatic. And you get into those spaces and you calling everyone out calling everybody out, like what you're not supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. And it's almost like hovering a cloud over you. Hovering this big cloud over you, and then here it is all of a sudden now you're faced the music. Oh, I've been tempted. Oh, I've been tempted. I mean, dude, you sit there, you bringing that on to yourself.
That part. I just had, I'm sorry, God rest, bless his heart. He's gone now, but I just got the Jimmy Swagger crying face in front of me when you said that. Because I remember that thing. I was a kid and I was like, why is this man crying like this on TV talking about forgive me, Lord? I done said, I was like, what is going on?
Oh, geez. There's an old video of Jimmy Swagger. That video is so intriguing.
I was like, oh my goodness, Jesus, what did the man do?
Dude,
I was a kid. And I was like, why is this man crying all over this TV? And what? It's okay. It'll be okay, sir. God rest his soul.
This is one of the most craziest videos ever.
Are you
and
gonna
it's not
find
just
it?
crazy, but this is this video right here. Someone had sent this to me and it just blew my mind. Look at this.
Very, very much. And prayed for him so many, many years, and I'm so glad that he's here. So very, very, very much.
Jimmy Swagger.
I wouldn't want tonight to be in John Starnes' place after hearing Sarah Jordan Powell sing, my Lord, that woman sang.
Anyways, I need to go check. Man, I need to check on her. She's living. That was Bishop's favorite person, Sarah Jordan Powell. That is Jimmy Swagger speaking at Mason at Miracle Temple, Mason Temple. That's him speaking. And I sit there and I listen to this. And do you know he actually had a message that really was very evangelical, bro?
I mean, he could preach.
I was just tripping because it was so evangelical. Like, I was like, he's saying that? Oh my God. Like, it was some things that he said that was aligned with, but it was Jimmy Swagger speaking in Mason Temple.
Yeah. I mean, what? Jimmy Swagger had a large reach from Louisiana.
He had a large reach. It was just, that was the most, it's like a 2-hour video.
I know.
And he's sitting there preaching, and I'm like, it's kind of evangelical, but it's kind of interesting. I grew up Kojic, Church of God in Christ, and I know some of y'all might be watching me. And it took a minute for me. I never was high church. I was a musician. I played the drums, a little bit of back keys, So I was never really sold out. I never was really, thank goodness. But I never really I always would question a lot of that stuff just because I was a thinker and it just didn't make sense. And I just was like, I guess we're just more spiritual since we just shout and dance. This is my 10-year-old self. I guess we're more spiritual because we shout and we dance, and Jehovah's Witness just go door to door talking to people. It was kind of weird, but I think as we progress in our own lives today, the biggest thing is understand that you're deconstructing a reality. If you can get closer to understanding deconstructing a reality, that means that when you deconstruct a reality, that's asking the question about time. That's asking questions about, like, when did we start working 40 hours a week? When did we decide that we take a lunch break? When did we decide that Sunday was the Sabbath? And when did we decide, so you're asking these questions, contemplating all aspects of everything. Jesus, when you think about it, D, we talk about what I was talking about it earlier. When you just think about, we're talking about a Middle Eastern story that happened, and somebody always has the right answers, but we just started flying in comparison to that. We just became free compared to that. As far as slavery, civil rights, especially
Right.
1968.
Not even 100 years old.
1968. I mean, that was
My dad was in college in 68.
yeah.
It's not that long ago.
I mean, I was born in 76, so 68, 78, 9,
Yep.
you
I was
know.
born in 77, so yeah.
You born in
Yeah.
77?
Yep.
So you're only talking about less than a decade from the time we were born that we couldn't necessarily go into a particular store, or however that would be in the South.
That
So a
part.
lot of this stuff is fresh, more fresher than we know. And so although time seems to speed up because of technology and how fast we move,
Mhm.
one of the things is I would like to do is I would like to give some practical daily exercises or practices. And this is something that we could actually post in the Patreon. But in the morning, when you get up tomorrow, just for that day, I would like for you to ask yourself, what do I believe today
Mm.
that no longer serves me? I'm not sure in the morning what a person does. I try to meditate. I try, the thing is want to do my meditations. I may have some particular reading, but I have been not getting on my phone for the past, and that means get up, get on it, right? Or get up, sometime I'll play a video or something and just, I want to get into that space. But then some of it is just like, no, I don't want any of the dopamine. I just need to get up, go, and just 2 or 3 times a week is just not touching it after you get up for an hour. But anyways, tomorrow, reflect and say, what do I believe today that no longer serves me? And then tomorrow evening, ask the question, what did I know today through my experience? What did I know today through my experience? The belief and knowing, one thing that I always talk about belief is for the most part, you were born to your mother. You can look at her, you can look at how she is, you can look at her facial features, you can look at, besides the birth certificate, what makes you know your mom is your mom? What makes you know your dad is your dad? So how in juxtaposition that you would look at God? What makes you know in your life, if you believe in the deity or if you believe in the source energy, what makes you know that that is what it is? As we change our beliefs, we're not abandoning faith. We're not leaving faith. We're just redefining it. Okay. Here's a challenge. This week, pick one belief you've carried for years and ask yourself, is this belief helping me create the life I want or holding me back? And if it's holding you back, dare to imagine what you can do to replace it. This is a song that is one of Deidre's favorites, but there's also a member of the community who is a beautiful soul. Well, I guess I got a lot of them.
You do.
Miss
You do.
Marie, Tia,
True.
Miss Gwen.
True.
Yeah. I got some new people. I have a dear friend who's it is let's see who I was thinking of. I have to call your name. I have so much in my head. Tony Shanks. He's going to be working with me. Mr. Tony. I love Tony. He's
Okay.
a wonderful, beautiful person. I hopefully, we'll get him maybe up on this
Hey,
Saturday.
Vincent.
Hey,
Vincent. Good to see you. Hey. We both had the same reaction, like, hey. Good to see you, Vincent.
Such a beautiful soul. Bless you, dear brother. Bless you, bless you.
Yes.
And we want to bless everyone because Deidre and Miss Celeste loves this song. This is something that I wrote dedicated to Bishop Carlton Pearson. Some of the lyrics, though, included an experience that I had. And my father, in his own strong belief and ignorance, used to say, Hare Krishna is not the way, Buddha's not the way, Muhammad is not the way, because it really rolled off and it sounded beautiful whenever you say it in the Church of God in Christ setting. But Jesus is the way, right? It sounds really good. So in the intro of this song, I say, it don't matter. I don't even know if it fit the song. I was just like, I'm still putting it in there. But this guy and this song, even though it's AI, will bless your soul. Just close your eyes in this moment and let's just release the blame and just connect.
If it's Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, or Mohammed, just know, my friend, God is within. No matter the name, no matter the faith, God is within, moving through grace. Born from a world of love, no shame. We all feel it when we hear our name. Our name is love, our name is peace. Serenity in what we believe. So when you call my name, I will not fear. Love is the answer, it's always near. No power to blame, no guilt, no shame. Just let love flow and break the chain. Told what to believe, yet deep inside we know God is love, no matter where we go. Oh, let me take this moment, no fear, no shame, to stand in love and release the blame. Release the blame. Release the blame. Yeah. Choosing the path we must embrace. Love is the answer, for heaven's sake. Can we let go and let love flow? In the hate, release the pain. Deep inside, we're all the same. Oh, this is where we choose our fate. Blindly accepting love not the same. But you have a chance to go within. And I know that God is a part of all of us, my friend. Oh, it's in you, it's in me. Love is the answer.
Ah, I had to throw the lyrics out there, even though I told you you could close your eyes. But you gotta the lyrics really are something that can help you grow, right?
Thank you, VT.
Release the blame.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that I mean, I'll never get tired of that song. I could literally I just think of Bishop every time I hear it.
There was two, because I forgot because
I think there's a version. Isn't there a version
well,
with him with him on it?
yeah, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. That's it. Yes, with Mother.
Keep on keeping on.
Mother
Oh, he
Shirley.
used to always say that, and I was like, why is there not a song about that? Oh, we're gonna write a song. We're gonna write a song about keep on keeping on.
Keeping on. Amen.
And what was interesting is a lot of the lyrics that are in that song are things that he would say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. CDP's evolution, like I said, is the reason why I'm who I am today. There's no question, because he started in one space and evolved, and that's why I'm who I am today. There's no doubt about it.
There's, I think, a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are they may not say it, but they're in that same position where it was like he was willing to put himself out there, willing to step up, willing to, and I think whenever he done it through a lot of our conversations, Bishop didn't just be like, you know what? I just want to like leave the church and I just want to do this. Nah, he was really technically, he was just fed up and he didn't know. He thought people would just kind of maybe agree with him because it made sense. And he was like, yeah, no, this is revolutionary. Just like he was revolutionary with Azusa. So he had a feeling like on Azusa that it was like, oh, wow, this is great, as far as Azusa goes. And what people responded. So he had kind of that feeling that people were going to just kind of respond. But of course, I don't know. I've shown it before. How Bishop Ron Ash just laid it out in 2000 about what was going to happen. And it happened. I mean, everything that Bishop Ash everything that Bishop Ash said,
Every single thing
was just, people were going to do this, people going to do that, people want to agree. I mean, every single thing that he said was like, it came to pass. Like that was one of the most profound prophecies. But I think what was beautiful was the fact that people did come from to and fro. Media was there, news was there. I mean, for crying out loud, there wasn't a movie. And literally his life was so impacting, and what he brought when it was like changing the way people think. Some people can look back on Bishop's life and they can be like, this has been happening. Transition, people have been leaving the church and different aspects of this happen, right? And I'm like, yeah, but did Netflix decide to make a movie about it?
that part.
Did news stations from and who was it? Did Dateline make a movie about it?
The Today Show. I mean, there were so many.
Jesus. I mean,
yeah.
It was very, very controversial. It was very, very risky when Bishop done that. And I don't think he really looked at the risk. to be honest.
I think he was extremely courageous.
Yeah.
I think he thought because if people looked at and knew who the integrity that he walked in, I don't think he realized they were going to be so dismissive.
He didn't. He did not. 100%. He did not know that people were just going to cancel his ass. Like
With vitriol.
hard.
With vitriol. Yeah.
Yeah. Hard. And some people that began to cancel it was in so much dirt and doing so much dirt at the time. And he just lived with it. And he knew that they were doing work. He just allowed them to do what they do, allow them to be who they are. And just kept to himself.
Yeah, God bless him. He had the grace I don't have. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right? I don't know if this is in the if I have anything that's I think I'm going to see what I have in the private community. And I think since his spirit has come up, I think we're going to do something and we're going to release. I'm going to release something and I'm going to show you just so that you understand what I'm talking about as far as the private community. Look at this. You see this? This is in my archives.
Bishop.
This is in my private archives. Look, Bishop's in a t-shirt. Billy
Chilling.
In the door, never crying. It's in me. I don't have to go out to find it. All those compartments are in me. When Jesus says, "My Father's house are many mansions," he's saying many dimensions, many places and spaces and realms and reasonings, logics and logistics. And we barely, if you ask me what I know most, it's like I know that I don't know much. That's what I know most, is that I don't know much. I actually do know a lot, but I haven't given myself permission to know or acknowledge what I know. To ignore doesn't mean just to not know, it means to not notice. The whole world, particularly the Christian world, refuses to make note of or notice the obvious. It's in us. In him we live and move and experience, embrace, possess ourselves. We're busy trying to experience, embrace, and possess everything but us. But myself and soul is a fascinating, fearfully, wonderfully made entity. And the closest to ever really knowing God, I've said this for years and it offends some people, but the closest you'll ever get to really, quote unquote, knowing God is knowing you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess you just have to stay tuned. You got
It was that last sentence. I was like, let's
get to know you.
Get to know you.
That is just spontaneous me with a phone popping it up.
Yeah.
Wow, 2022. That's what that was. I don't know if you if that is intriguing, but I guess I'll archive that and put that into the Bishop Carlton Pearson section of the Patreon. For those who are interested, I will go ahead and get that uploaded so that you can enjoy some behind the scenes, because that talk is not something that he normally would just be talking about on his live. That is he and I at the house messing around, and we just philosophizing, going back and forth, like, hey Bishop, I've done that. I did that with him a lot. 2015, I was doing that. Evolution requires a level of bravery, tenacity that many never achieve because of mentality steeped in fear. Bishop CDP always set such an excellent example through every iteration of himself. Absolutely. And I think a lot of it with him just had to do with the fact that he was what I've learned after working around quite a few celebrities is what makes celebrity is the fact that you can become really good at doing something. Whether it's a good speaker and then you just do you, right? Whether it's if you're a good hooper, a good football player, a good whatever. Like when you think about somebody that you know that when you're a really good singer, like Beyonce is going to be Beyonce. Right? You know what I mean? Beyonce gonna be Beyonce. And when Beyonce does something, whenever she gets with her team, get with her people, whatever else, when you go to a concert, you know what I mean? I heard her concert is kind of okay. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? No.
You did that just to get a reaction out of me, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured so. Yeah.
I mean, the church would do they like push the buttons. All right,
Yeah.
people. We're gonna be getting together this Saturday. Right? This is something that we offer to people in the paid community. Thank you for all that you do in helping support what we have going on. That's in Patreon of the Expanded Consciousness community. It is a bargain. It's really reasonable. It's not a love offering or a token. This is allowing us to, specifically, allowing me to do what I do, and get deeper into this. Of course, we have, and I'm looking to have more offerings, more courses. I'm working on a course, and I'm working on a one-on-one coaching, and then I'm gonna show Deidre some of this stuff. And of course, eventually I'm working on the Institute of Expanded Consciousness for those who would like to not just experience this, but actually use this in their life. Malachi, do you have the program of Bishop giving a prophecy in January? That should be online.
Yeah, it's still online on the YouTube channel, but we can upload it too in the community.
Yeah, it's online, and then sooner or later, especially those in the private community, I would like to get with. I'm gonna still get with you, Deidre. I know Miss Gwen has one. I think there's addresses inside Patreon.
There are.
I think this would be media mail, so it should be cheap. I need to just get the envelope to see how much it would cost.
Just send them to me, Malachi. I'll get them out. Okay.
So if I send these to you, you can get them out. Well, are you saying that like I'm not going to do it?
I mean, you'll do it. It just, it takes a little minute, maybe a few months, almost a year.
I guess we having a coaching shadow work moment. You're supposed to now. Am I supposed to tell you what's affecting me and not being able to commit to actually ship something out?
Hey, we all have our work to do. It's okay.
I don't know. I'm about to go into all kinds of deepness. I'm going in my head, really trying to figure this shit out.
I hope I didn't. I think I triggered Malachi.
But Miss Gwen, you the one that showed that. But tell, was it worth it though? How was it? Like, was it like, whoa?
In all fairness, I have to agree. In all fairness, it took Malachi a year to send me a package.
It wasn't,
but it was the best. Yes, it was, Malachi.
I need to go refresh. I need to go.
You can go refresh. But it was when I got it, it was so well worth it.
No.
So yes. It was a year.
No way, Deidre. It was a year for her. It wasn't a year for you.
It was a year for me.
Which package?
The big package. The package.
Because I think it was more. I don't know. I got to review this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send these to Deidre, and then she's look at this.
Yes. So see, Celeste, see.
Well, I'm one of those leaders that be like, Yeah. I suck a little bit at that.
Hey, he's the mystic coach. He be up in the stratosphere. That's why I'm the director of operations.
Right.
Balance it out.
My wife would be like, I don't need your sorry, do better. Damn.
Like, hey,
that's what she tell my kids. I don't need your sorry, do better. You don't want no mama that's HR. God.
And then I'm HR. So this is how this works here. I do, it's my position.
Well, I guess I'll send these two with you. This goes with the book.
Yes.
So we have some cool little treats for you.
It's all love, Mother White. It's all love.
No, I mean it's love, but what happens is we, like one of the things about true coaching compared to other things. One thing about coaching compared to other things is like you really look at your life. Every single human has something that you can work on, something that you want to do better at, something that you want some kind of level of transformation. And those that sit back and be like, yeah, I got this. Woo, woo, woo. That means you ain't really doing it that big.
You ain't really that involved. You ain't really that involved. Like me, like I still have a problem getting up early in the morning.
But we can address that.
No, I hit snooze. Listen, I've gotten better. I used to hit snooze just as a sport.
Deidre, your body has to rest though.
I know that, but
so I'm traveling and traveling and going and going and going and doing and doing and doing, right? And it's one, you know what I mean? It's 11 o'clock, it's the 12 o'clock, and then you deal with your pet kids.
You know what? See, this is kind of like EC after the show, but you get it right now in the show. So y'all know how this be going down every week after we log off. This is what happens, y'all. Just so y'all know.
Go to bed. Like, I want to wake up in the morning. Nigga, you can't go to bed at 2 o'clock at night, dog.
I'm a night owl. My bad.
Some nights, though, you just gotta like go to bed. Cut it off, right? And you know what happens? We be up here on the after show. One of these times y'all might have to do it because it might be 1 o'clock. We be in the after show, and you know what happened to me? It get too late.
Then you start eating.
Be looking for the snacks.
Snacks. That part. So y'all are getting a preview of what after the show be looking like.
I'm looking for the snacks, bro. Where the peanuts at? You know?
Marie, like, go to bed. Marie, I don't know how to do that. That's what I was saying about that. Bed.
I stay up so late, I'll go in there and get me an ice cream sandwich and wonder why my visceral fat is not changing.
This is what makes this such a special community. Is absolutely this. We can laugh, we can discuss deep topics, we can laugh at each other. It's all good. Yeah. Okay.
This Saturday, I will be here. I think we may still come back on Sunday. Abandon your pickies.
So I'm gonna talk to you after the show. I'm gonna talk to you after the show. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe you get a little sample. People need to get a sample. I cut the show off and you get after the show a little bit. Because after the show, I might cut it off a certain YouTube and certain channels so we can just let loose. I love y'all. Thank y'all for everything you do. Hey, and I must say, Deidre, for those, because not everybody is in the Patreon, and I still get some people that says, I'm not a part of Patreon, or they're part of Patreon, but they still throw the Cash App out. Bishop used to did not like it. He would not like it, but then he's wondering, like, like, Bishop, we got to pay for a StreamYard. Bishop, we got to pay for this. We got to pay for that. You know what I mean? I used to be so mad. at times because like Bishop goes and talks, and I'm like, Bishop, why are you going to go there for $1,500? Like the plane trip is going to cost you $5. What? We can't do that. That's why I'm volunteering. You know what I mean? You ain't charging these folks enough, bro. Like, bro, you worth 10 grand to go with Bishop. You want to go speak? No, it's 10,000. I can't afford it. All right. Let's work a deal. Something, I mean, my nigga. Sorry, this is after the show. Sorry.
This is what I'm saying. So you, like I said, I volunteer. I love my brother. I'm gonna have his back. I'm gonna do the thing. Like we don't do this to make a living.
No.
We do it because we want to help everybody be their best selves.
I love it. To be honest, like I love it. You know, I'm gonna do my coaching, I'm gonna do my thing and build this up. And I'm at that space and live in a city that this is a city that you can live like great. You can live a wonderful, great life, beautiful, wonderful, great life with, you know, 75 to 100,000, you know, if you just live and manage your, you know, that's paying your bills and I get a big house, you know, and, you know, it's life, but I'm not too majorly worried about it because there's other things that's in development. But this here is something that if the more that I have, you know how they say, if you was to do everything you want to and you had all the money, you know, that you want, you've done everything you want, right? What would you do? Would you start a business? Would you do this? You know, yeah, I wouldn't own a restaurant, but I would give money to a friend that owns a restaurant so I can go to the restaurant and be a part of the restaurant because I love cuisine, but I don't want to work in the restaurant business. That shit is hell. But I still would be ECC. I would develop the Institute of Expanded Consciousness. We would get teachers, instructors, and we would tear this mother up, right? We would just go big on all of it. All of it. What part of Oklahoma? Fort Sill? Woo. There's, that's yeah. I think that might be close to Lawton. I wish she was a little closer. I live in the city. That, my friend, is in the sticks. Fort Sill is in the sticks. It's like outside of Oklahoma City. That's like in the sticks. It's weird, you know, just how these little bitty towns. I mean, these cities, like there's 4 million. I'll get off here. There's 4 million people in the state, right? Most of y'all live in places there's 4 million people in your city. But there's 4 million in the state. Oklahoma City has 1 million metropolitan. Tulsa has 1 million metropolitan, and the whole rest of the state spread out, right, is the rest of the people. Fort Sill, that's beautiful though. That's beautiful. I will tell you that we are going to next year have a retreat, and we'll have it here. And I'll tell you, if you've never been to this location, if you've never been to Tulsa, Oklahoma, it will bless your soul because it's ground zero for the Black Wall Street. And you get to see a lot of active things and museums and things that are going on that's related to Black Wall Street. But specifically, we would be going to an old monastery that is now more of a spiritual retreat that has a chapel on it. That place is sacred grounds. There's been some people doing all kinds of stuff. You know, it's an interfaith. So there's been Buddhists in there. There's been all levels of spirituality in there. And I think it would be really cool for Deidre to be able to come in there and bring some African spirituality because there's literally Native American. It has all these modalities that's been in there. They've got all the books and libraries, all these modalities. And it's really a place of retreat for whatever you're experiencing or whatever you're going through. And if you need one of the modalities, it's here. Other than that, there's a spiritual director, and it's just beautiful. Oh, the vibration. I promise you, the vibration is awesome. It really is, because of the fact of the active, you have blackness within a lot of cities because black people have moved there. There's a lot of blackness within this that has a lot to do with the history of what they did. And when you see what happened, Black Wall Street was really Black Wall Street. It was not like, oh, this is a business district. Like, there were a lot of black areas in the United States that built up, but this was the oil capital of the world. So therefore, it was a lot of black people that had struck gold, basically have struck oil on their land. So they had Packard cars, Packard meaning they had Mercedes, they had hotels, the first ever hotel, not just black hotel, the first ever major hotel was black folk, right? And they had literally rows and rows and rows and rows of business. How many days, Coach, will be there? Yeah, most likely, I would say it would be a weekend. Maybe a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday type of a deal. I would say something like that, like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then that's my plan, where we would do 2 days, maybe 2 days at the retreat, and then 1 day exploring the city, exploring just really, the Black Wall Street, John Hope Franklin Museum, where there's a 30-foot totem pole with the black experience going up the bronze totem pole. So there's a mixture of Native American and blackness, and literally bronze, what do you call those statues, that are, 8-foot tall statues with water and everything. It's sacred. It will no, there's people that come there that boo-hoo their eyes out. Some black people that come here from other cities can't do it. Like, it's that painful. Like, I've seen it where, older black people would come and they would experience it and feel it, and the energy so high that they would just bawl. And I mean, it's like a labyrinth. It's a walking labyrinth around the whole thing with bushes. And it's very sacred. It's very beautiful, but yet though you still feel that energy. And I promise you, after you experience what I have planned, I have a friend that's named Nick who does the most amazing, and we're looking to do something together, but I'm meeting with him Monday. Nick does a sound bath that will blow your mind away. This is not normal, because he has glass bowls, brass bowls, gongs, drums, like shakers, and like he has so much equipment. And then so you play the music, he plays an actual soundtrack, and then he comes and then he plays all of his sound bowls, his frequencies, and it's like, and then he takes the shaker and puts it over your head, and I swear to God, you're like, what just happened? What just happened? God, I feel different. That's weird. Sound and sound frequency and what you can do is amazing. But anyways, I will get deeper on the planning. I'm only looking to do 10 people, maybe 12 people tops. This is because I want it to be a high level experience, right? Because to witness me in person and for me, it's different. I know for a fact, you can ask anyone that's ever been around me, that especially if I'm around you guys and I'm in that frequency, I am in something else takes over. Literally something else takes over after you spend years around Dr. Miles Monroe and Carlton Pearson and many other people. There's a high expectancy that they have of that over you when it comes to impartation to people. So the level of transcendence that you will have and experience, yeah, we expect some transcending and some things to happen and some prophecies and some that's my magic fingers. I love y'all. And look forward to on Saturday to talk, right? We're going to have all the community,
Yeah.
paid community come together on Saturday. That's our moment where we do a little bit of laughing and crying and coaching and teaching.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That will be Saturday, 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern via Zoom. Information will be in the private community. Be well, everybody.
Be well. Love y'all. And we out.
What do you believe? Why do you believe it? Are you free to receive it? The gift of love, the gift of peace, the gift that keeps on giving, no matter how we see it. Oh, it's calling, calling on the wind. I no longer believe what I know, I'm living my life, learning to let go, lay down the guilt, lay down the fear, love is the answer, love will win, just let love in. Taught to carry shame, taught to hide our faces, but grace is like the rain, it falls on broken places. Lift your hands, lift your heart, it's been yours from the start. Oh, it's healing, healing from within. I no longer believe what I know, I'm living my life, learning to let go, lay down the guilt, lay down the fear, love is the answer, love will win, just let love in, just let love in. No more chains, no more sorrow, hope is rising, with tomorrow. Let the past be washed away. We are love, we are brave. I no longer believe what I know, I no longer believe